How's it going, everyone? Welcome to Making Love Great Again. I'm your host, DeAnna Lorraine, and let's get this show started. Thanks so much for bearing with us. We had a little bit of technical difficulties. I was hearing from our tech support on the other side. So we're ready to get rolling. And let's start with a little bit of inspiration for our Monday morning, shall we? This is one of my favorite videos. And it's so inspiring. We need a little bit of inspiration in these crazy times that we live in.
The American people, the Washington establishment, and the financial and media corporations that fund it exist for only one reason: to protect and enrich itself. The establishment has trillions of dollars at stake in this election. For those who control the levers of power in Washington, and for the global special interest, they partner with these people that don't have your good in mind. Our campaign represents a true existential threat, like they haven't seen before. This is not simply another four-year election. This is a crossroads in the history of our civilization that will determine whether or not we, the people, reclaim control over our government. The political establishment that is trying to stop us is the same group responsible for our disastrous trade deals, massive illegal immigration, and economic and foreign policies that have bled our country dry. The political establishment has brought about the destruction of our factories and our jobs as they flee to Mexico, China, and other countries all around the world. It's a global power structure that is responsible for the economic decisions that have robbed our working class, stripped our country of its wealth, and put that money into the pockets of a handful of large corporations and political entities. This is a struggle for the survival of our nation. And this will be our last chance to save it. This election will determine whether we're a free nation or whether we have only the illusion of democracy, but are in fact controlled by a small handful of global special interests rigging the system, and our system is rigged. This is reality. You know it, they know it, I know it, and pretty much the whole world knows it. The Clinton machine is at the center of the future they deserve. The only thing that can stop this corrupt machine is you. The only force strong enough to save our country is us. The only people brave enough to vote out this corrupt establishment is you, the American people. Our great civilization has come upon a moment of reckoning. I didn't need to do this, folks, believe me. I built a great company, and I had a wonderful life. I could have enjoyed the fruits and benefits of years of successful business deals and businesses for myself and my family, instead of going through this absolute horror show of lies, deceptions, malicious attacks. Who would have thought? I'm doing it because this country has given me so much, and I feel so strongly that it's my turn to give back to the country that I love. I'm doing this for the people and for the movement, and we will take back this country for you, and we will make America great again.
All right. How's that for some Monday morning inspiration? I always love hearing that speech, and I love hearing, I just love hearing him talk about how passionate he is for the country. Because when I think of that, it gives me hope. It gives me motivation when all we hear all day long is fake news and constant negativity over and over again.
From Syria,
that's not what we need, right? We need sometimes to be reminded of what our country is, the greatness that it is, and how there's so many millions of us that are working together to literally make love great again. There's so many patriots out there who care about the fate of the country, and we're working together, and it is a movement. And it's exciting. We can't get down and depressed. My name is DeAnna Lorraine, for those of you who don't know me, and I am the author of Making Love Great Again, The New Road to Reviving Romance and Winning at Relationships. I believe that the downfall of our American values and our country are directly correlated to the downfall of our relationships, our marriages, and the family unit. And this is what I've been speaking on for the last 10 years in my private coaching practice. And I got inspired to write this book so that I can address these issues that are affecting Americans every day, but that everyone's just afraid to talk about. Nobody wants to talk about it, and no one wants to talk about how feminism is truly impacting marriage and relationships between men and women. No one really wants to talk about how social justice warriors are actually hurting relationships. No one wants to talk about how liberalism is the root of all the problems that we have in the U.S., not only in the U.S., but the world, and not only in the world, but they're at the root of our downfall of our relationships, our family, and romance, dating, really the root of all problems. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Let me go and make sure that I am right at my Periscope, because I have got my Periscopes. I've got my YouTube, so that I can make sure that everybody is tended to. And bear with me, I'm just getting used to this new software. All right, let's see. So we've got the Periscope open, and in a minute it's going to load and I can see everybody. How's everyone doing today? Thanks for bearing with the technical difficulties this morning. Okay. Let's see. I'm just trying to get the YouTube open now. I've got the Periscope open, and then we can officially begin. And we've got some interesting topics today. Okay, all right. Bear with me one more minute. And why is the Periscope not connecting? Sorry, guys. Bear with me for one more minute while the Periscope connects so I don't ignore all my lovely Periscopers and YouTubers. Get some music on. Okay. All right, cool. I got the YouTube on so I can see all my chatters in the YouTube. "30 more seconds and I will be on Periscope." Okay. Okay. Sweet. Okay, I'm here, everyone. We gotta bring back the 50s, guys. Hey, Russ, we got Russ in the house. We've got Samuel, we have DJ, Brian, and more. Yes, his voice is a refreshing change in tone from the passive tones of most news reporters. He is passionate. And hello to all the Periscopers. If you like what I'm saying, make sure that you give me some hearts, give me some loves. Okay. Happy Monday, everyone. Happy Monday. It's Motivational Monday. And we have some annoying news to discuss today, but I always want to leave off on a good note. So the first thing that we're going to talk about, besides from how are you and hope everyone's doing well, hope you have your morning coffee. The first thing that we're going to talk about, we've got Ivanka in the house, Ivanka and Putin. And yes, we got some love in the house. Thank you very much. Mm-hmm. Baby, 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 don't leave me. I can't sing this morning. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to discuss is Tony Robbins. I'm sure all of you have heard this weekend about Tony Robbins. Anthony, or Tony Robbins, is the granddaddy of life coaching. He has been coaching for, I don't know, like 50 years. And he was my idol for so long. I mean, I looked up to the guy. He's helped thousands and thousands of women and men have better lives, create better results in lives, release any pain, release suffering that they've had, release past traumas, and move on to have much better lives, more successful careers, more successful, thriving relationships. He's cured depression, disorders. I mean, this man is really a gift from God. He's amazing, and he's using his talents in a profound way. You know, he's using his gifts that God has given him to make incredible changes in people's lives. So I personally have always looked up to Tony Robbins. He's been someone that I've met personally, and he's been someone that I've really kind of modeled my coaching practice after in many ways. And I've taken a lot of courses from him. So he is a very good man, and he only speaks the truth. This is what I like about Tony too. Tony does not cater to, you know, what people want to hear. He says what is true. He says the truth because the truth isn't always something that you want to hear, but it's helping you grow. And that's the coaching model that I've always learned from. That's the coaching model that I've always used. My clients, they don't always like me. They don't always like what I have to say. But is it going to help them grow? Sometimes the truth hurts. Sometimes the truth is really painful. But if it helps you to grow by learning the truth and seeing your blind spots where you're unaware, then that's going to help you get to the other side, right? That's going to help you. That's going to be the missing link. And any respectable coach that's worth their salt knows this. They should never lie or appease people for the sake of sparing people's feelings, because that only leads to coddling and it leads to stunted growth, right? So what happened this weekend was crazy, and you're going to see the video in just a minute. And hello to all my YouTubers. Yeah. Woohoo. Hello to all my YouTubers. Hello to all my Periscopers. So you're going to see the video in just a minute, guys, and you can judge for yourself. But what happened was he was at his seminar, Unleash the Power Within, which is a fantastic seminar. It's about a 5-day seminar, and it costs thousands. I think it's about 2,000 plus to get in. There's about 2,000, 3,000 people in the audience, and it's a 4 or 5 day seminar where he puts his all into getting people breakthroughs. So thanks for the love, Periscopers. Thanks for the love. So what he did was he started talking about the Me Too movement. And he started critiquing it and he said, here's another perspective I want to offer you about the Me Too movement. Maybe there's some negative consequences that are coming along with the Me Too movement, although it may have started with good intentions. And this is exactly how I feel about the Me Too movement. Okay, guys, so I want you to listen to this video and see for yourself. And I'm going to then give my commentary throughout and at the end, and then we'll talk about how ridiculous. Then he's had this huge backlash all weekend long. So we're going to talk about the backlash combined with a lot of these tweets. And I got in a huge Twitter war with the feminazis that you're not going to want to miss. So without further ado, follow us so you don't miss a thing. Yes. Oh, you are delightful. Baby, baby, baby. Yeah, I love Tony Robbins. Who doesn't like Tony Robbins, right? I mean, if you don't like Tony Robbins, there's something wrong with you. Ay, 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 ay. Okay. Where did my thing go? Sorry, guys. There's so many windows that I'm working with.
What's that, sorry?
Okay. Without further ado, is there a way to do a split screen with me and the camera? I don't know, but can't really figure that out right now. Okay, let's do it.
What's that, sorry?
Nani. Can you hear it?
I'm sorry, it's like Johnny, but with an N.
Oh, okay.
This was taken on someone's cell phone, so it's going to be a little fuzzy.
What's your concern? You stood up, so I was that concerned.
Yeah, I think I need to do a happy dance, because that's what I said I would do when I started feeling stressed.
Okay, give her a happy dance. Give her a hand. Nice
job. This was just in March, guys. This was in March.
So I think you misunderstand the Me Too movement. I think the Me...
Not for you, personally. I'm not misunderstanding for you. You can educate me. I'm telling you,
She's saying, I think that you misunderstand the Me Too movement, just like every woman always says, right? And then he went and said, I don't think I understand it. I think I understand it perfectly well. I've read thousands and thousands of things on it. I'm very well versed on it, heard many, many personal experiences. Here.
I've read these because my life is about helping people have new choices. So when I see them, I've read so many, thousands. Have you read thousands? Or are you going to tell me what your experience of the Me Too movement is? Because I respect all of you. You can use the Me Too movement to be such a beautiful thing. I'm not knocking the Me Too movement. I'm knocking victimhood. Raise your hand if you follow it. And I'm not...
Real quick, I know the video is very grainy because it was taken on someone's cell phone in the audience. Now, what he said, once again, is he is not knocking the whole Me Too movement on the whole. He's saying he's knocking victimhood. Staying in victimhood is what he's knocking, because that's clearly a negative state that doesn't get you any growth and it doesn't get you anywhere. So he keeps clarifying for her, he's not knocking the whole Me Too movement. It could be used for good, but could also be used...
Suggestion you have to agree with me. I'm just saying, suggestion you consider what its impact is.
Just consider what its impact
is. Look at these people and see what is empowerment. Anger is not empowerment. What you're seeing is people making themselves significant by making somebody else wrong and getting certainty. And there's nothing wrong with that, it just won't make you happy. It won't make them better, it won't make you better. And oh, by the way, what did Jesus say, regardless of what religious belief? It shouldn't be anybody, you don't have to be Jesus. But who should throw the stone? He who has not sinned. You shouldn't do that stone if you live in a fucking glass house. Is there any one of us that hasn't done something that we prefer we've not, or that we're embarrassed by, or was hurtful if we didn't mean to? Who here has never done anything of that nature in your life? Raise your hand. One liar. Thank you. So I'm not knocking the Me Too movement. I'm knocking victimhood. If you use the Me Too movement to try to get significance and certainty by attacking and destroying someone else, you haven't grown an ounce. All you've done is basically use a drug called significance to make yourself.
So he's saying by spending your life attacking someone else and blaming someone else or other people, you're not growing. You're not growing emotionally. You're not growing spiritually. All you're doing is shifting the blame to someone else. And then when you stay in anger and hatred, like a lot of these people in the Me Too movement are doing, they're banding together, staying in hatred, staying in blame. How can they possibly grow? How can that possibly be good for them? It's not. And that's what he's saying. He's saying that there's a consequence to the Me Too movement, and a lot of people are misusing it. They're using it and they're not growing from it.
Or certainly.
This should be easy logic to follow.
I hear you mischaracterizing the Me Too movement. Certainly there are people who are using it for their own personal devices. But there are also a significant number of people who are using it not to relive whatever may or happen to them, but to make it safe for the young women.
Look at all these sheep. Sheeple alert.
Service by characterizing. I love you. So
I don't feel attacked in any way. I'm glad you did this. The reason I want to engage is because I don't want to be misinterpreted.
He doesn't want to be misinterpreted.
You're using it differently than some other people. What I'm suggesting to you is it's easy to see when a person gets angry and attacks. Rarely, watch this. Come over here.
Okay, now he's going to do a physical example. He's going to do a demonstration. Watch this demonstration.
Watch.
Sorry the video is so grainy, guys. I wish it wasn't so grainy.
Put out your fist.
Video.
Why are you pushing back? I didn't tell you to push back. Why are you pushing back?
So he's
Why
pushing
so
her.
hard?
She keeps pushing
So
back.
you're telling me that the harder I push, the more you're going to comply and I'm going to be safe.
Well, Choker says don't resist.
I don't give a fuck what Chopra says.
She brings Trump into it.
I know, Mr. Chopra. This has nothing to do with it. You're still resisting. She's still pushing on me. I've pointed out she's still pushing on me. Why is she still pushing? And when you push someone else, it doesn't make you more safe. It just makes them angry.
It's awareness, it's not pushing.
In Hollywood, where most of this is the most intense, I have so many clients there. And I talk to men all the time, and it breaks my heart for women, not for men. Because I just heard someone the other day, very famous man, very powerful man, who's saying how stressed he is because he interviewed 3 people that day. One was a woman, 2 were men. The woman was better qualified, but she was very attractive, and he knew I can't have her around because it's too big a risk, and he hired somebody else. I've had a dozen men tell me this. So I want you to know, I'm not telling you what to do.
Excuse. And it's
No,
a
you're
blank
giving me an excuse. You're telling me that the more I push, the more I'm going to be safe. Is it true? It's not. Listen to me. There are plenty of women in this room and plenty who have a different point of view. I'm not asking you to take my point of view. I'm asking you to consider how you use anything, technology, Me Too, anything. I don't mean technology wrong either. Some people, you mean technology wrong. No, we want to use it, not let it use us. Raise your hand if you follow us.
No.
And if you and I are going to free ourselves, freedom doesn't come from more anger, and freedom comes from. So I think anyone who's been hurt should be able to express it. They should be able to go get restitution, should be able to solve it anywhere.
So a minority is not supposed to protest?
A minority is not supposed to protest.
How would you follow? I didn't say you were.
Okay.
I was saying that.
I didn't say you
So
were.
pretty
I never
easy
said
line of logic
that
for
you
most
personally
people
use
to
it that way.
follow.
I said if you see people using that way, stop.
Right.
If you catch
She
yourself
keeps
using
arguing
that way,
with
stop.
him, though.
How many of you have found technology was supposed to
Now
make
he's going
you
into
less
another
stressed
example about
to give you
technology.
more time? How many remember that story? How's that shit working for you so far? How many have more stress in your life than you did before? But how many are also more productive? So everything can be a two-edged sword. I'm just trying to get you to see where the sword is hurting. Because for every action, there's an equal and opposite what?
Everything is a
I'm not
two-edged
talking to you as
sword.
a man, I'm talking to you as a human being that's dealt with tens of millions of people from 100 countries. And here's what I can tell you. There are patterns that make you angry, there are patterns that make you sad, there are patterns that excite you, there are patterns that make you grateful. You gotta choose your patterns well.
Choose your patterns well.
Because otherwise, you'll let the culture choose them for you. And if you choose them for yourself, I have no problem.
You are a leader and an influential man.
Yes.
And you are doing a disservice, in my opinion, to the Me Too movement.
Wow.
And you are doing a disservice.
I
to the
can't
Me
do
Too.
a service because everyone in this room that believes whatever she believes will continue to do it.
It's not just about what women believe. It's about what people believe. Just because you were talking to me.
No, not everyone believes that.
I'm talking to you person to person.
I understand. What are you telling me different than what I said? I told you some people misuse it.
This is so long, guys, but this is so good. It's so juicy because I have so much to say about this.
Anytime when I said
Yep,
this is how some people use it.
Because that's what I learned.
Did you ever watch Saturday Night Live?
So literally, she keeps arguing with him, and she doesn't believe what he's saying.
This is not what I'm telling you. I'm not saying the movement is wrong.
She keeps saying, you're saying the movement is wrong, and he keeps clarifying it over and
And you
over.
want to use things in a way that doesn't addict you to your problems, and you don't want to be a victim. If you use it, it doesn't make you a victim. I'm not thrilled.
Don't be a
It is
victim.
nothing. There's a million ways to communicate. It's just the avenue we're using now. I think women being treated fairly, fine. My office is filled. My company is 70% women. That's a fact. I love women. I love their God. I'm not criticizing any woman. I'm saying man or woman. If you get a pattern of victimization, who's it going to hurt? Nice and loud. Who's it going to hurt? That's right. So I'm not saying you're using it wrong. I never even addressed you personally.
I'm talking about the Me Too movement.
No, I'm talking about how it's used. How technology is used. How belief systems
I had my business stolen from my brother. I was in a rage. Not his fault. The boss gave him the reins.
I'm not going to be inauthentic and say I'm sorry about something I'm not sorry about. I'm not sorry for all of it.
This is good.
This is what so many people are doing. They're saying they're sorry when they're not, just to comply. I'm not sorry for her misinterpreting me. She just told me I misunderstood. So hear me now. I can do the easy thing about bringing this up. I'm only bringing it up because I give a shit for everybody. I spent a life to help people be free of pain. And when I see a pattern that some people are using creates more pain, I just want you to be aware of it. You can disagree with me and tell me I'm full of shit.
Okay. That was a long clip, and I'm sorry it was so long, but it was so good that I really needed you to see all of it because there's just so much to say about it. So basically what happened is you saw the whole clip, and I know it was really grainy, but hopefully you actually got the gist of it. And after that, after this video was released on Saturday, somehow on Saturday it got released, and it caused a huge firestorm. And feminazis just went absolutely mad. Not just feminazis, but liberals and simps. And I'll talk about simps in a few minutes here because simps are another part of this problem. These wussy-ass soy boys who try to, score points with women by, saying, I stand with women and, I stand against Tony. Tony's a misogynist. And those guys are really half the problem too. So how this is so unreasonable and so irrational because they went and literally tore him down. I feel horrible for him because his business now is in jeopardy. But basically, he explained very clearly that he was not against the whole Me Too movement. But what he was saying was every action has a reaction. And there's some reactions that the Me Too movement is causing that women may not be happy with in the end and that they should know about. There are also tools, just like technology. He used a very simple example of how technology could be used as either a tool for good or a tool for bad. It could be either helpful to our life if we use it properly, or technology can be information overload and it can actually add to more stress and less productivity. Very easy for, I think, any person who's logical can follow. It's a logical thought. But not feminists. They can't hear any of that logic. All they hear, they get triggered. He says there's an issue or potential consequence of the Me Too movement. That is all she heard for that whole 11 minutes. Because every time, he would explain this extremely logically. And then all of a sudden it would go back to her and she said, "You're doing the Me Too movement a disservice. You are bad for the Me Too movement. You don't care about the Me Too movement." And he's like, okay, once again, let me explain this all over again. It's not the Me Too movement in and of itself that's bad. It's the women that are remaining in victimhood, that are remaining in the feelings of hatred, resentment, and pointing fingers and blaming men for everything, which the Me Too movement has really become. We've seen how it's really become a witch hunt to root out men who are maybe doing something completely non-offensive, like giving a woman a compliment or having locker room talk amongst each other at work. Now, all of a sudden, that's construed as sexual harassment. So any woman who has eyes and logic can see that the Me Too movement is harmful on the whole. Now, women speaking up about their sexual harassment is not bad, of course. I mean, women should seek justice. But what's happening is there's this witch hunt going on that's really tearing men and women apart, and I'll talk about that in a moment. I just think it's hilarious and ironic. Like, this sums up the liberal logic and the feminist lunacy in one 11-minute segment. This is why we cannot reason with them, why they're unwilling to reason, because they can't. I think they're literally missing the ability to reason logically. Notice how the people in the audience literally couldn't hear anything he said because they were triggered way in the beginning of the conversation. And they're all emotional and stuff, and then zero logic can dismantle that feeling of emotional trigger, right? It's absolutely insane, and this is why, unfortunately, the women that will read my book, unless you're a logical woman and you can step out of that emotion, that feeling of triggering, they're going to be so triggered by it that it's going to be hard for them to look past the trigger and actually, read the logic in it. What was that video called? Oh, let me give you that video. Look at Tony Robbins. Me too. And Tony Robbins is like me. He spends his life literally trying to help people. He's helped thousands and thousands of people, and women loved him. They loved him. Women look up to him so much. They think he's hot. They think he's powerful. They think he's helpful. He's like an angel. And I just want you to see real quick some of the insanity now that women are saying. And I'm going to show you, here's some of the comments that women made on his videos just a few weeks ago. Thank you for helping me so much. Tony, you are so amazing. Tony, these are all from women. Tony, this was such a blessing to hear. These are all comments that were left on his YouTube videos like up until a week ago. Here, I'll show you. And then I'm going to show you the contrast of what happened, of what this has devolved into, this insanity. This is why men have a hard time trusting women right now, because they can turn on you. They're showing time and time again that they can turn on you on a dime, and all of a sudden they think that you are sexually harassing, or they think that you said one little thing that is outside of their narrative that is actually trying to be helpful, and instead all of a sudden they lambast you. You go from a saint to the worst scum of the earth within seconds. And how is that something that promotes trust and goodwill with men? Right? Okay. Real quick, and then I'm going to give more of my commentary. So these are just some of the comments that women have left on one of his previous videos. Tony Robbins, stop your negative thinking. And look at some of these comments from women. I absolutely love this. My daily ritual is listening to this. You have motivated me. Thank you. I love this human. He's amazing. I've noticed a big change in my overall thinking and listening. Love Tony Robbins. May goodness bless him always for empowering us. Thank you. This saved my life. See, it's so many women and men that are commenting. Tony, thank you and many blessings. He is absolutely amazing with his words. He's just amazing. Okay. Now, look at what's happened. This just shows how when women say when people say that they're against the Me Too movement, or the Me Too movement has some negative consequences to it, this is what we're talking about. This is what we're talking about. I think this guy's very passionate and caring, and that's what I love about him. Yeah, and now look at this. Look at what people are saying. This all started, all right? This all started just on Saturday. Just look how quickly people turn on him. This guy who's helped thousands and thousands of people. He has a nonprofit. He gives millions of dollars to charity and the homeless every year. I mean, it's insane. Now look at these stupid women who suddenly turn on them like the fickle women that they are. Why would anyone want advice from a man who physically intimidated a much smaller woman, who blames Me Too for his friend not hiring a qualified woman because he can't control himself? So what he said also, he said, look, there's some consequences. One of the consequences is, I have a lot of very successful business owners who are not hiring women because they feel like the risk is too great. Even when the women are more qualified than the male candidates, a lot of these male business owners are just deciding they're not hiring women. They don't want to deal with the potential risk. They don't want to deal with the potential toxicity in the work environment, or even the potential for a lawsuit, for a sexual harassment lawsuit. That's what he said in the video, and I fully agree with that. A lot of guys, why would they hire a woman? When women are so much on a witch hunt right now to bring men down and bring down this patriarchy, right? So I don't blame him. And all he did was present this other view that, look, I don't think, ladies, that you've really considered that these actually are consequences in the real life. Like, get out of your fantasy head. You know, you think Me Too is amazing, but get out of your fantasy and look at, these are some of the real life, real world consequences. But notice that these women just refuse to hear it. All they see is a man, all of a sudden it's twisted into physically intimidating a much smaller woman. Dude, lady, this wasn't a physical intimidation. This is called a demonstration. It's an NLP technique, neuro-linguistic programming. You use physical demonstrations to actually help create a change in someone or help someone have a breakthrough or see a different perspective. Anyone who's a seminar leader brings people in the audience, from the audience, and does physical demonstrations with them to make a point, to illustrate a point. But notice how these women are so delusional. They twist and turn it into, all of a sudden he's physically intimidating a much smaller woman. Look at this. We demand an apology. You clearly attempted to intimidate a sexual abuse survivor after she bravely, look at the smear campaign that's begun. Smear campaign is in full force now. And now look at the witch hunt. Look at the witch hunt. Are we investigating Tony? Now they're going to start investigating him. Because any man who can intimidatingly walk a woman back like that while peddling such BS arouses my suspicion. Look at, I guarantee you almost, which I pray for Tony, but they're probably going to start this investigation, a witch hunt, find one little thing that he did 40 years ago, and then tear down his whole business because of it. It's absolutely sick. Now, he's not this amazing, powerful, amazing, helpful man. He is a misogynistic con man, intimidator of women. And Tony Robbins calls victimhood on survivors of sexual abuse so that he gains significance. Now he's a loser. Now he's an enabler, fake guru, and occultist. Now he's a bastard. This is so disgusting. This is why I can't possibly align with the feminist movement or the Me Too movement. I'm just going to go through some of these tweets. And by the way, I must have been one of the first people that commented on his page. So as soon as I found out about this, I went to his Twitter page and I wrote a comment saying, Tony, I stand with you. I stand with Tony. I think what you did was profound. I think it needed to be said, especially by a powerful and influential man. It needs to be called out and just shown a different perspective. We can't stay in victimhood and hate because that clearly is detrimental to relationships and it doesn't help you grow or heal. It's not good. And I think that the Me Too movement it creates this band of women that they keep the conversation of abuse and blame alive every day. So how can they possibly move forward? So I said that one comment, and guess what? It started a huge firestorm, and I've literally gotten hundreds and hundreds of emails and tweets attacking me because of it, and we'll go through some of those. Tony Robbins is suddenly a vampire. Honestly, the video was sickening and told me everything I know about Tony Robbins. What was so wrong with the video? What was so wrong with it? He was making a point. He's a bully. Oh, now all of a sudden also he's a white man with privilege. This is an overprivileged white man who is never considering questioning his own privilege. This is sickening. This is like why I don't trust most women. And now here's Christy saying, I will never understand women like you who choose to support men instead of the women who are fighting for our rights. I just will never understand. So I wrote, because there isn't anything to fight over. I'm sorry, but what rights do women not have in the U.S. that men have? Crickets. There's no response after that. That was the most disturbing part, the way he took her hand, walking her back. That's the carefully choreographed behavior of a professional bully. Are you fucking kidding me? This is ridiculous. No, it's called someone who is an NLP life coach who knows how to create demonstrations. Now all of a sudden he's a son of a bitch, piece of garbage, and here's the simps coming on in. Here's the wussy soy boys that are trying to score points with feminists by standing with them. You're wrong, blah, blah, blah. Take a good look. DeAnna, I hope someday you see your worth and value and stop letting men define you. Yeah, sure, I let men define me. How about you let women define you? Piece of crap. You guys, this is only a small percentage of the tweets I got. Very tiny. You should see this. You should go to Tony Robbins' page, open up his last post, and see the comments. It's unreal. Look at these guys. I've stood next to him. He is a big guy and could easily use his size to intimidate. Guys that big need to be careful of how they use their size in space. No, just because someone's a big guy doesn't automatically mean he's a bully in and of itself because of his size. What is a big guy needs to all of a sudden shrink himself and make himself look smaller just so that you feel less intimidated? If you feel intimidated because of a big guy, that's your issue, not his. I'm still left wondering why you reacted that way. Your words and actions reflect a deep hostility toward women. Oh my God, like I can't even. Sorry, I hope you guys aren't bored by this, or I hope you are as entertained as I am. You're a misogynistic prick and a fraud. How dare you treat women at your show like that? And look at the spin. Here's the spin. Newsweek came out with the story, and look how much they spun it. He slams the Me Too movement and pushes women during confrontation. It's great. It's not pushing anyone. He was doing a demonstration, a live demonstration that anyone who's any stage presenter knows to do. They're trained to do demonstrations. It makes the audience more engaged when you do demonstrations. This is what he does. This is what he's been doing for 40 years, is helping people shift their energy, shift their perspectives, and he constantly does live demonstrations. But now all of a sudden it's pushing a woman. You are an asshole. He's a predator. I can't even. And now all of a sudden, by the way, he's mansplaining. So not only, by the way, this is, again, he's created his life to explain things to people and to help people. That involves talking. That involves sharing different perspectives. That involves coaching. So they're literally distorting coaching, which is his job, to mansplaining. He can't even do his job without women describing his job as mansplaining, which is really scary and really Orwellian. Here's what my tweet was. I applaud you for your firm stance on the Me Too. Women do not grow emotionally or spiritually by harboring hate and resentment, remaining a victim, and blaming the man rather than healing from it. I stand with Tony. And then, of course, I get all of this crap. I knew the minute I looked at your handle you'd be a Trump supporter. Take your moronic statements elsewhere. Your support of a sexual predator makes your comments null and void. So I have completely discredited just because I'm a Trump supporter. And not only that, I think the irony is laughable that these are women who support a real proven predator and rapist, Bill Clinton, and his criminal accomplice wife, Hillary Clinton, who lambasted, smeared, and slandered all of the women that came out to accuse him of sexual harassment, assault, and rape. The irony would be laughable if it wasn't so horrendous. These women are absolutely insane. So they stand by Hillary, they stand by Clinton's, they stand by Jimmy Kimmel. Yeah. Note to self, you don't have to publicly say everything you think, and it is probably best not to. But no, that would be inauthentic and lying. People spend thousands of dollars to hear, literally, to hear Tony Robbins tell the truth, to hear different perspectives and to grow from him. They don't spend thousands of dollars to get coddled, to have him comply with them, to apologize for things he didn't do, and to make them feel better. You know, it's not about feelings, it's about facts, and it's about growth. How are people going to grow if they get coddled, right? So this is what's wrong with society today, with our culture. They're telling us that feelings are more important than facts and truth. They're telling us that it's more important to apologize to people and to comply and to tap dance around issues, not bring up the truth, than to have people actually experience the truth and to actually grow and to be a better person, which is just disgusting that our society has gotten to that level. His whole job is to say the truth, even if people don't necessarily like it. Ugh, it's just crazy. And then this is women just saying, they hope that they hope that he gets taken down. They just want him to get taken down. I'm the kind of woman that other women hate for good reasons. I believe carrying what is primarily a man's excuse for victimizing women's blah, blah, blah. Enjoy being that woman. And I'm a horrible person. This is literally the easiest subject to be on the right side of, and you remain clueless. Yeah, I'm not going to be on the right side of something if I don't believe in it and if I don't agree with it, just because everyone else tells me to. And here's another typical feminist saying, I hope the career of Tony Robbins ends purely based on what he did to the woman in that video that is made public. That is pure physical intimidation, man versus woman. Oh, but I thought we are 100% equal every way, shape, and form, according to you feminists. So literally, this is, he said one thing, and it negates the millions of people he's helped. He'd say it's negating the millions of dollars he gives to the homeless every year or gives to charities every year. For 50 years, he's been helping people. And this is the way the feminist logic think. They want to tear down his entire career and everything he's done and all the good he's done in the world because he told the truth in a 10-minute segment in his seminar that people pay him thousands of dollars to go see. That is why I cannot possibly get on board with feminists or with the Me Too movement, guys. That's enough for now. Let's get out of here and we can go to the comments real quick. I know that was a super long segment and we'll probably go a little bit longer today, guys, because this is a longer segment than I thought it was going to be. Let's go to the comments now and see what everyone is chattering about. If I didn't lose everybody in that long statement. The war against men. Thank you so much for all your hearts, guys. You guys are amazing. It's already gone too far. My wife is the perfect example. She said things that just were not true. Wow. And really bad women pushed her. I noticed the so-called feminists are fugly. Yeah, most of them are fugly. I think I lost so many people by making such a long segment. Sorry, guys. Okay, I'm back in the YouTube and the Periscopes. There's nothing wrong in critiquing Me Too movement. If anybody wants to have a conversation about sexual harassment, if feminist thinks it is a national conversation about it. Yes, Johnny Bravo, I agree. DJ says, Deanna, you know you can't satisfy these crazy-ass feminists. They're looking for every reason to hold on to the only power they feel they have, victimhood. Yes, and this is what his point was. He wasn't criticizing the whole Me Too movement, guys. He was just saying that victimhood is never a healthy emotion. Blame is never a healthy emotional state to stay in. We can't possibly move past if we keep the conversation alive. And this is my problem with therapists, typical psychologists and therapists. And this is why so many of my clients end up coming to me to work with them after they've seen a therapist for years. Because what happens in typical therapy is they just basically get this echo chamber. They get a listening wall that says, oh, wow, I'm so sorry about your problems. I'm so, so sorry. But they keep talking about their problems. They keep talking about their problems, but they typically don't move you from problem to solution and from negative states to positive, productive, proactive states, looking to the future. And that's what typical coaches do. They're strategic, they're forward-focused, they're solutions-focused. And it's important to address the problems and the root issues, but we don't stay there. And that's what Tony Robbins is. And this is why every coach that is worth their salt, any personal development coach, any personal development guru, any life coach, any relationship coach should think exactly like Tony Robbins and I think. It's antithetical to being a coach if you're staying in the negative feelings of blame and resentment and anger. It just is. So when I see personal development coaches and therapists or life coaches, when I see them rally with the Me Too movement and rally alongside with the feminists, to me, I'm like, you're a phony. You're either phony or you don't have the sanity to distinguish what you're doing. You're clearly someone who doesn't actually know that everything that the Me Too movement is doing is against living a productive and powerful life because it keeps people in victimhood. But unfortunately, so I was really thrilled when Tony Robbins spoke up about this. I was thrilled to find out. And by the way, Tony Robbins is a Christian and he's a Trump supporter too. He talks about Trump all the time. And here's another thing. I also can't understand why anyone who's a life coach or personal development coach isn't also a Trump supporter, because Trump is all about personal responsibility and not victimhood, but personal responsibility and moving yourself forward and only taking care of yourself and other people, of course. But liberalism, the whole core of liberalism is victimhood. It's coddling people, treating them like victims, and encouraging their victimhood, okay, while they depend on the government. It says, hey, you don't have to be personally responsible. You don't have to be someone who can pull yourself up by your bootstraps and be a self-made man or woman. The only thing that's important are your circumstances. Liberalism says that your circumstances define who you are. Your circumstances define what your future is. And if you were born in shitty circumstances or a bad neighborhood or uneducated parents, that gives you an excuse to define who you are for life, and then don't worry about anything because the government will take care of you. So this is what I don't understand about when people are so against Trump, because Trump is all about personal responsibility, pulling yourself up for your bootstraps, and becoming a self-made man or woman, and being successful no matter what your circumstances are. And that is empowering, right? That's what empowerment is, and that's what the whole concept of the American dream is. Women getting crazy. No wonder what MGTOW is getting bigger. Yeah. Hashtag Me Too is the biggest load of hogwash that we've ever seen. Yes, Samuel Crone, aside from David Hogg. Patriarchy is used like a potato, which can be used in any kind of recipe and still sound sophisticated. But do anybody really know what is the original word patriarchy? Well, Johnny Bravo, patriarchy is really, it was set up to protect women. It wasn't set up to disempower or oppress women. And I talk about this a lot in my book, actually, that based on how the patriarchy works, men are really the ones that are at a disservice. Yeah, they have some power that comes along with it, but they also have a lot of responsibility, a lot more responsibility that came along with the system of patriarchy too. And they, you know, if anyone was getting special privileges and was getting special protections, it was women, not men. You know, now because women are trying to be treated exactly as equal, they're not getting as many special privileges. Well, let me rephrase that. Actually, they are. They're demanding more privileges while at the same time simultaneously demanding that they be treated 100% equal, which makes zero sense. Mansplaining. I hate it when agenda pushers make up new words and expect us to acknowledge these words. Oh, totally. Me too, Samuel. And Johnny, mansplaining means man explaining to stupid feminists. Those who cannot make a coherent argument back. Any smart woman would not have to retort to say a single word, mansplaining. Absolutely, because here's the thing, mansplaining, just by using the word mansplaining, it shackles men. It puts muzzles over men's mouth because it's saying, you're mansplaining, basically, stay in your lane, put your mouth away, don't tell me anything. And it's horrible. And the fact that society, this is something that society actually encourages and uses the term mansplaining is absolutely horrible. I mean, we should start using the word womansplaining anytime a woman opens her mouth. It's totally oppressive to men. And it's totally misandric. It's totally misandric. Quaker says, if Tony is so wrong, then why is he so rich? Exactly. Tony, like, it's just the funny thing is you can see the contrast because first, you know, these women are all over him, fawning all over him. Oh, Tony, you're so amazing. You're so powerful. And then within minutes, he's the scum of the earth. He's the worst guy in the world. He's a misogynist. He's a bastard. I mean, these women are really sick. They're really, really sick. And they wonder why men stay away from feminists. We wonder why men are afraid to get married or afraid to date women or have children with them. It's women like these that are giving the whole rest of women a terrible name. It's making men feel like there's this lack of trust. Like, how can I trust a woman and commit to her if I do one little thing wrong and she just turns on me on a dime and all of a sudden I'm the scum of the earth, right? It's really horrific. But I promise you guys, there's so many women that are not on the feminist bandwagon. There's so many women. And I hope more women are turning against feminism every day. Russ said, some of us didn't leave. We were just stunned by the level of slime being dumped on you. Oh, okay, good. Yeah, you guys should see the whole thing. I mean, it's really bad. You guys should see, if you go into Tony Robbins's tweets, it's like the second one down, where he says, let me see. Something about feeding the homeless. That's the tweet that I wrote under it. And, you just see like hundreds of responses from feminists just completely attacking me, calling me the most vile names. It's sad. Thank you for the love, guys. Thank you for the love. I just hate liberals. I know. It does. It's like, stay in your lane, stay in your corner. And so I say, anytime a girl tells you that you're mansplaining, say, I'm going to mansplain all I want. Because here's the other thing. It kills men's natural masculine traits. Part of being a man, part of masculinity is they try to be helpful. Men try to be helpful. They try to be respected. They try to be contributing to women and to people on a whole. So when they find there's an area that they're knowledgeable about or they can help, they want to explain things. They want to contribute. They want to talk about it. And they think that they're helping. So when a woman says, no, you're not helping, you're mansplaining, it's just horrific because it starts extinguishing men's natural, generous, masculine traits. It starts making men feel like completely insignificant and not respected by women in society as a whole. Like their views are not important. Their opinions, their help is less important than a woman's help or opinions are. And it's really terrible. It's complete misandry and lunacy, and it needs to go. I say goodbye to mansplaining and manspreading. Periscopers. I've seen the whole thing. I see it every day. Yeah, it's horrible. Women have so much power. Men are even afraid to date. Yes, men are now boycotting marriages. They're boycotting relationships with women. They're no longer interested in dating. And women are going to be the ones. This is what Tony was trying to help understand and this is what I talk about in my book, that in order to make love great again, we need to make love safe again. Women used to be men's safe spaces for men. Women used to be a nurturing place for men to have this joy and laughter and peace and kind of safety from the outside world and from their high-pressure jobs, competition in the workplace, and the war zone that they experience out in the world. They would come home to their women and feel like this warm and cozy, nurturing, safe space. But now, women have become men's war zones. They've literally become legit war zones where men no longer feel like women are their safe spaces, but instead they feel like women are, like out to get them. And they feel like they're always on edge around women and in this hostile environment around women. And that is just the worst thing that can ever happen to men and women relationships. Women need to become men's safe spaces again. And guess what? Men need to become women's safe spaces again, but we need to meet each other halfway. Actually, women probably need to come further than men do. And women need to see the long-term consequences of this. They need to see it. And part of those consequences, and I outline the consequences in my book, part of those consequences are that men are just going to start recording all their conversations with women. So whenever they're going to be on a date with a woman, whenever they're in a meeting with a woman or interacting with women, a lot of guys are going to start recording their conversations through voice or through videos so that they're not held liable if a woman comes later and makes a faulty accusation of them. They want to make sure that they're covering their asses. And of course, that's just not like, that just promotes this toxic environment of mistrust. And that's really sad that as a society, men are going to have to start recording their interactions with women just so that they can cover their asses in case a woman later comes out with a faulty charge. And the other consequence is men are starting to leave women in droves, go their own way, joining MGTOW by the day. They're not going to want to get married, not going to have children. And the other thing is, a lot of men are not going to hire women anymore because they're like, it's too risky. You know, when we've reached a time where we don't even know what sexual harassment is anymore, it's so vague. We don't even know, like all of a sudden they're calling Tony Robbins, who's just telling the truth in a 10-minute segment in his own seminar. They're now saying he's a misogynist, he's a bastard, he's an asshole, he's pushing women and assaulting women. If that is considered assault and harassment, then we have zero definition of what assault and harassment really is. And when women are saying that sexual harassment is just some guys at the workplace having locker room talk around each other, and a woman happens to hear it, that is now considered sexual harassment. Or sexual harassment is, I'm going to go to a man's house after a first date, hang out at his home afterwards, and he, surprise, surprise, starts putting the moves on me. That's considered sexual harassment now? I mean, we've got a world of problems because we can't even define what sexual harassment is anymore because the definition of it is changing every day from women. Okay? So, yeah, men aren't going to hire women anymore. It's going to start getting really bad. And the people that are going to suffer the most are the women, actually. So we really need, women need to create a safer space for men. We need to work together to help make the laws and practices more fair and equitable for men, especially the marriage and the family court laws. Women need to happily sign prenuptial agreements and uphold them in court. Women need to, do paternity tests for their husbands if they want one. If they want a paternity test, they should happily do it because the baby should be theirs, that they're paying all this money for and that they're supporting. So anything that women can do to help men feel safer and to really make it just more fair and equitable for men in general, because right now all the laws, especially the marriage and family courts laws, are completely misandric. They're totally discriminatory towards men and they completely favor women. The courts favor women. This needs to change. This needs to end. We need to end the war between the sexes. We need to end the war between the sexes and we need to make love great again. Okay, gosh, I had so much to talk about today and I hope I can go over everything. If I can't go over everything today, then I'll go over things on Wednesday. Who do you think this agenda of creating war between the two sexes? Do you think it's only women? I do not believe so. No, it's the Marxists from above. This is definitely the part of the whole overall Marxist communist agenda. This is not something that just randomly happened like a random upspring. This is something that has been planned for about 70 years from the top down. This is the Marxist communist agenda. And part of the agenda, and here in my book, it's creating divorce and pitting men and women against each other, separating men and women, removing the father from the family, removing the significance of men from society, because they know that when we have weaker men, we're going to have a weaker society that's more controlled, easily controlled. Men help create the society stronger. When we have weak families and broken up families, guess what? We are weaker as a whole and we're easier to control. So Marxist communists, they want broken families, they want fatherless homes, they want weakened men, and they want women and men fighting against each other, just like they want class wars and race wars. They don't want us all getting along. They want us divided. They want us fighting each other, because when we're divided and we're fighting each other, and we're not focused on the real enemy, and the real enemy is the controlling, abusive government, the corrupt government. what I love about President Trump is he's trying to put the power back into we the people's hands. He's trying to prevent a tyrannous government, by putting the power back in our hands like it should be. And he's trying to promote the values that are American values that once made our country so great. Strong families, a strong belief in God, personal responsibility, hard work, personal liberty and freedom instead of being dependent on the government, and healthy relationships between men and women. Russ says, I miss the ability to super chat and donate a few dollars to say thank you for being strong enough to what you do. What happened to super chat? Did super chat go away? Did super chat go away? Okay, here's another thing though. If you can hold on just a second, I'm just going to close the door, guys, because there's some noise out there. So bear with me for just a second. Okay, you want to hear something that's extremely hypocritical? Okay, so these crazy feminists and these liberals are completely destroying me and lambasting me for standing up for Tony Robbins, right? They're tearing me down. They're tearing Tony Robbins down. He's a misogynist. Now all of a sudden he's a sexual harasser. He's the scum of the earth. And now I'm the scum of the earth because I defended him and I said, I stand with Tony because I speak the truth. And yet, in the same breath, in the same couple days, these insane liberals and feminists are actually defending child trafficking. They're defending sex trafficking. I mean, you can't make this stuff up, folks. You cannot make this liberal lunacy up. Here's what they say. Women's March and Planned Parenthood and other feminists are literally against the new law. So basically, let me give you some background information. Last week, federal agencies, the FBI, the government, due to Trump's war on removing, his goal is removing child trafficking and sex trafficking. He's tried to end sex and child trafficking, okay? And based on that, they seized Backpage.com. Backpage.com is basically like the dark web. It's the very, very shady version of Craigslist, even shadier. And they found that most trafficking or much of child trafficking and sex trafficking was happening on Backpage. Okay, and so they seized it. They closed it. As of last week, you can go to Backpage. I'll show you in a minute, but it says the FBI has seized Backpage. So you would think that people, especially women and feminists, would be thrilled that Backpage is closed because we're putting an end to sex trafficking. We're putting an end to this oppression of women and children, right? So you would think they would be thrilled about this. And it's a horrific thing, the level of child and sex trafficking that is happening right under our noses every day in the U.S. and in the world. If you look into it, if you follow QAnon at all, it's disgusting and it's prevalent and it's everywhere. So you would think that we'd all be happy about that, right? But no, not the feminists, not the liberals. And this is how nefarious their agenda is. They're literally supporting the trafficking and the Backpage. They want it up, and they're sad, and they're causing a riot because the Backpage got taken down. Look at their argument, how they spin it. And this is why you should know that something really nefarious is going on with the liberals and the feminists. Like, their agenda is not pure. There's definitely a nefarious agenda there. And, it all kind of leads back to some very dark things, some very dark goals. So let me show you. Oh, this was a tweet from the previous one. You can just read that real quick. That was me. And this is a page from my book. Discredit the family as an institution. Encourage promiscuity and easy divorce. So this above statement is listed in the 45 goals of the Communist Party to take over the United States. If you ever look at the 45 goals of the Communist Party, it's pretty crazy how realistic, how everything is actually coming into fruition. But discredit the family as an institution, encourage promiscuity and easy divorce. This is one of the listed Marxist communist goals. And this is one of the feminist goals too, is discredit the family as an institution, break up the family, encourage promiscuity. So with all of that being said, doesn't it make more sense that they would defend prostitution, that they would defend child trafficking, which is, of course, absolutely disgusting that they would defend it, and why anyone would be for it, I don't understand. Oh, the Women's March Canada also also started attacking me. Liberal hypocrisy abounds. Oh, yeah. So look at all the liberal hypocrisy. Bill Clinton, an actual proven rapist. Jimmy Kimmel asking girls to feel what is in his pants and guess what is in his pants. Which is, Jimmy Kimmel is like their god. They watch him every night and they love him. But nope, he's not a misogynist. Only Trump is. Liberal hypocrisy abounds. It abounds. And of course, we've got Harvey Weinstein saying that they didn't know he was this misogynist, they didn't know he was this rapist and sexual assault. Yeah, the hell right. You knew. Everyone knew. Okay. Wow, I forgot about all these other tweets. I hope the career of Tony Robbins ends. Okay, so now here's what Women's March is saying about the shutting down of Backpage. This is how they spin it, how nefarious they are. The shutting down of Backpage is an absolute crisis for sex workers who rely on the site to safely get in touch with clients. Yeah, sure, it's real safe. Sex workers' rights are women's rights. Follow all these people for more info. So now they're making this a humanitarian crisis for sex workers, because how sad for them that they're getting their place to, actually get in touch with their clients. How sad for that. This is really scary. They would rather have all the sex trafficking and the child trafficking and the disgusting things that go on. And literally these children are slaves. They're put into this against their will, and they're being sold as sex slaves and into the child trafficking world. So they would rather have that all go on just so that they could have prostitution go on, so that they can somehow help prostitutes, because prostitutes' lives are more important than children's lives who are being held hostage in the sex trafficking rings with all these thousands of pedophiles. I mean, pedophiles are everywhere. I mean, isn't that like the lowest of the low? That is the scum of the earth. And yet women support this? Women call themselves feminists? They would support the Women's March? And they would support, I mean, how do you even defend that? How do you defend it? It's indefensible and it's disgusting. Anyone who is for, and why are we even supporting sex workers and prostitutes, right? They can get another job. We should be empowering them to find legitimate forms of work or something that they actually enjoy doing, right? I don't understand why defending sex workers is something that should be a staple of being an empowered woman or a feminist. I don't understand this at all. But somehow sex workers is now tied to feminism. And here's lastly, this is the spin. Remember, the spin always comes out. Articles and major magazines are always going to come and start the spin campaign, and then start the changing of public opinion to create empathy for whoever they're trying to protect. And whoever they're trying to protect is always the criminals. They're always the bad people. How a new Senate bill will screw over sex workers. Although designed to protect them, the controversial anti-sex trafficking bill could harm consensual sex workers. This was in the Rolling Stone, and the whole article is basically about how the new laws that Trump enacted, removing Craigslist, removing personal ads from Craigslist, and removing sex trafficking and Backpage, how that's hurting sex workers. On Wednesday, the Senate passed the Stop Enabling Sex Trafficking Act by bipartisan, which protects online publishers. This development comes nearly a month after the House of Representatives passed the Allow States and Victims to Fight Online Sex Trafficking, or FOSTA Act. After receiving this overwhelming congressional approval, this is now headed to President Trump's desk. And Trump tweeted, and we all know this, anyone who follows Trump knows that he has vowed to fight the epidemic of human trafficking. So, but no, they're defending sex workers. They're saying that I fear this legislation will not stop human trafficking and instead will hurt sex workers. And sex workers, poor sex workers, they will lose all kinds of access to resources that can help them to both survive and thrive. So again, they are defending the criminals. They are defending the disgusting, nefarious poison of the world instead of protecting. And that in and of itself, anyone who sees this, who can follow a logical line of thought, should be able to see that these liberals are not for us. They're not for our protection and for our best interests. They are for everything that's evil and wrong in the world. Anti-God, pro-sexual hedonism, anti-family, anti-marriage, anti-relationship between men and women, pro-teaching kids about sex, pro-sexualizing children. And you're telling me that those things that liberals and feminists stand for are good for our society and are good for relationships? No. Anyone who's a logical and sane person can see that that's not good for relationships. And these are the kind of people, look at Women's Health Magazine. What's in Women's Health Magazine? What are they promoting? Meet the transgender father and daughter that are transitioning together. So she used to be a mother who's turning into a man. She used to be a boy who's now turning into a girl. So sad. And here is the vile garbage that they're spewing out. This guy literally got excited when he heard that there was a fire at Trump Tower. He got excited while hearing that there's a fire at Trump Tower. These are the sick, sick, sick people on the left. And this is for another day. What do you think, guys? Way to start off the Monday, right? Let's go back into the Periscope, and then we're going to wrap it up in a few minutes because we've gone so over. I apologize for how long the Tony Robbins segment was. No super chat on New Right Network. Okay, thanks, Russ. I'll let them know. They should be able to have a super chat. And I also want to be able to broadcast on mine too, so I'm going to try to figure out how to do both. You've got to be kidding me, Samuel. Where's my gun? Where's my dog? Time for an old-fashioned manhunt. DJ says, well, Backpage just got raided and apparently, but not surprising, the CEO donated to the Hillary campaign. What? Oh, that is rich. That is golden. I love that. So the CEO of Backpage donated to the Hillary Clinton campaign. Oh, man, you can't make this stuff up, right? You can't make this up. This chat feels like an example of the Cambridge Analytica propaganda distributed by Facebook and Sinclair. Why is that? I'm just trying to figure out if you are a limpy, wimpy Demi or someone I can talk to. I'm not sure what that means. You don't have to stay. Sinclair. Probably Hillary has her mitts into that as well, along with pharmaceuticals, drugs, uranium, and Killy. I'm just looking at the Periscope comments right now. Feminists want Islam. Any thoughts on Feminism and gun safety reform. Let me talk about that. Hold on. Someone asked a good question. Any thoughts on education or gun safety reform? Yeah. Absolutely. I don't feel like we need gun reform. I feel like the Second Amendment was put into place very thoughtfully and very brilliantly by our brilliant founding fathers. And I don't think that the Constitution needs to be amended at all. It was put in place so that we can have our protection. The Second Amendment was to protect us, we the people, from tyranny, from an overreaching government, and from people like Antifa or, crazy people that actually do not have our best interest at heart. So I don't think that we need any gun reform. I think it's perfect exactly as it is. I think that perhaps we should look into not giving people with mental health issues, many documented mental health issues or calls to the FBI. Maybe they shouldn't be able to have guns for the time being, but I think that our Second Amendment just needs to stay put, and it's not the guns that are the problem, it's the people that are the problem. It's also the many layers of the layers of safety, like the FBI and like the mental health professionals that failed these shooters, that failed and that could have stopped many of these shootings from happening, like Parkland, that didn't. So I really am firmly a believer that the guns don't kill people. The NRA is not responsible for these shootings. It's the people. And we need to look at the root issues, like how are we tending to our children? Are we giving them enough quality parent time? Fatherless homes, children who are raised in fatherless homes end up being much more likely to commit crimes and rape and end up in jail or do things like school shootings because they don't have that love and attention from a parent. I also think that the schools are doing a very poor job of educating our children. This is no longer education. This is indoctrination, plain and simple. I see the teaching that's going on here, and it's almost all from liberals and feminists, and it needs to change. What Obama enacted was Common Core, and Common Core is hurting students. It's not helping them. It's making students dumber. We're seeing the dumbing down of our students and children in plain sight everywhere we look in society, like eating Tide Pods, snorting condoms, the David Hoggs of the world who literally know nothing, but they think they know everything, and people who cannot think for themselves, people who follow groupthink. This is what's affecting the country, and it starts from their education, this horrible education that's really not education, it's indoctrination. I also think that, what they're teaching at schools is anti-American policies, it's anti-American literature, and it's anti-God. It's all liberal propaganda. And in kindergarten, they're talking about gender neutrality. They're talking about the gender spectrum, and the genderbread person comes to schools, to grade schools, to talk to kids about how they should choose a different gender or what gender and sexuality they are. They're encouraged to cross-dress at kindergarten, first, second, and third grade. And literally, we're teaching these kids anything but the things that they should be taught in school. They should be learning in school. They shouldn't be taught about liberal propaganda. That's the problem with our schools. So we absolutely need to do something to unliberalize our education, or else we're in really, really big trouble, because those kids are going to be the future leaders of our country. Yes, we can chat about the Second Amendment. All the mass shootings were done by liberals. Correct. A judge just rules Second Amendment does not apply to assault rifles. I think that's terrible. I think that the Second Amendment should apply to assault rifles. And here's the other thing. What they're trying to do right now, and it's very sneaky, they're trying to link domestic violence with the Second Amendment. They're trying to link domestic violence with gun violence. They've already done it in the state of New York, and they're doing it in Vermont now. And believe me, this is going to spread to other states. What they're doing is now New York just passed a law that says that anyone that has been charged with a sexual sorry, not sexual, with a domestic abuse or domestic assault charge, they have to turn in their guns. They have to turn in all their guns, their pistols, their rifles, any gun that they own, they have to turn it in if they have a charge against them of domestic violence, which is really scary, guys. And now there's articles. I've seen a lot of articles just in the last 2 weeks pop up, and even in 17 magazine and in Teen Vogue magazine, in Times magazine, talking about how domestic violence is linked to gun violence, and talks about all the different instances where women were killed because of a gun in the home. It's happening, folks. They're literally taking us in the home and linking what happens in the home with gun violence and using that as a scapegoat to take away our Second Amendment. It's already passed in 2 states. So the other thing, and I talked about this the other day, is that domestic violence can be extremely vague. Women call the cops on their husbands or their boyfriends all the time. And about 50% of those cases, there was no real domestic violence going on. There was just some yelling, there was some fighting, maybe she drove him insane and he pushed her against the wall. Domestic violence can be extremely subjective and extremely vague. It's another thing like sexual harassment. It's basically her word against his. So when we have a woman's word against a man, calling the cops and saying my husband just, was violent towards me, of course, who are they going to handcuff? Who are they going to send to jail? Who are they going to charge? 9 times out of 10, it's going to be the man, not the woman, because it's her word against his. So who is this law going to affect the most? It's going to be men. This is all part of the plan, folks. It's disarm the men, weaken the men. And again, this is another discriminatory issue towards men. You're right. Next will be the traditional hunting that will not happen in Maine. They can't do it. Not possible. It is. It is possible, sadly. MSM is a public enemy number 1. You guys just Google domestic violence, gun violence. Google domestic abuse in New York. Here, let me just I'll put it in here. This has been the longest podcast. Oh, wow. Here, guys. Oops, I can't drop this link here. I told you my wife called cops and I said I stabbed her in the throat after she did. Whoa. You don't know Mainers, we will die first. This is happening in New York and Vermont so far. Yeah, what will happen if they try to do that? If they try to enact this law in Maine or in other parts of the country, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think there will be riots before you are forced to turn in your guns? We will die shooting anyone, FBI, anyone. I love it. You got to protect your rights, because if they start whittling down on one thing, this is what happens with liberals. You give them an inch, they take 5 miles, right? So when they start chiseling down on one piece of the Constitution, one piece of one law of the Constitution, believe me, then they start whittling away more and more, and all of a sudden it's chopped up and it's unrecognizable. Even David Hogg, or it was Delaney Tarr, one of David Hogg's posse members, said on stage at the March for Our Lives event, she said, "When they give us an inch, we will take that mile." That's what she said in her own words, but that's how they all act. That's how they roll. So we never should give them an inch because they will take that mile and 5 more. This is why I say they're using the Eves to attack the Adams. Yes, DJ, that's how I feel. Been happening since the Garden of Eden. Ugh. Johnny Bravo says, Prime Minister of United Kingdom Theresa May is trying to legalize Sharia marriage. It will be recognized in British law. What? That's a topic for Wednesday. If an apocalypse happens, it's not going to be feminists and social justice warriors who leads us through. It's going to be the carpenters, mechanics, and others with a trade or in STEM. Okay, most mass shootings are done with a handgun. We need to ban assault rifles. Where's the connection? Yeah, I know. It's crazy. Gun 2, it's coming. False. Oh, yes. Ain't no fool. Hashtag gun 2, it's coming. False domestic charges and your guns get taken away. Oh, totally. Oh my God. This is so disturbing, guys. This is so disturbing. They're really onto it. Clear backpacks and name tags. Be careful what you ask for, kids. I know, I think that's funny. Okay, guys, I'm going to wrap up because I could be here all day, but you guys probably need to get back to work. How am I exaggerating? Someone said I'm exaggerating. What am I exaggerating? No one is taking away the Second Amendment. Thoughts on education? I just gave a long spiel on education. I don't really want to go over it again. Like I said, it's no longer education, it's indoctrination. This is not what kids should be learning in school. Kids shouldn't be learning in school everything that's anti-American. They shouldn't be learning in school why they should hate America, why they should hate conservatives, why they should hate white people. They shouldn't be learning in school how to change their gender. They shouldn't be learning in school about gender and sexual fluidity, cross-dressing, and other kinds of liberal ideologies. They shouldn't be learning at school those things. They should be learning how to read and write, do math, and the things that they really need in life. So I don't think that school is very valuable anymore. I personally would love, when I have children, I'm going to make sure that they're homeschooled. They will not be going to a typical school because I don't want them brainwashed and indoctrinated. And that's what it is. So don't make any bones about it. Education is no longer education. It's indoctrination, and it needs to end. It needs to be shifted back to education. And Common Core is really bad. Common Core is basically like common communism. Michael Obama started the hashtags. Then he actually passed the law everyone can carry. You do not know Maine and we shoot well. I'm sure you guys do. That's good. I'm glad that you guys are so protective of your Second Amendment. Thank you all for the loves and for the hearts. You guys are awesome. I'm going to wrap up in a minute here because this has been very long. Cannot be in relationships due to these types of laws, unfortunately. No, DJ, you can. You can be in a relationship. You should be in a relationship. Just because there's a lot of women out there and a lot of men who make it really difficult to be in a relationship with, and just because there's a lot of feminists that are crazy out there doesn't mean that all women are like that. I truly know for a fact that not all women are like that. There's a lot of beautiful, amazing women out there who are just dying to be in a relationship with you, with a good man They're wanting to be a doting wife and mother, and you should just keep your eye out for those women and not think that every woman is like that, because when you think that, you're going to remain a victim, and it's going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy. There's definitely a possibility. You have to hold on to the possibility of love, because she's out there. There's amazing people out there. And, I think I would rather have a partner through all of this crazy times that we're living in now, through this roller coaster, than be single and no one at all. I know not all are like that, but I have to protect my children, sweetheart. I mean, I think that I totally feel you, but I want to find a good woman for you guys. I don't tell women I'm in the NRA. Wow, that sucks. Any man who says he's in the NRA, I'm like, you just racked up 5 points of sexiness. Thank you. People don't understand. Thank you. You are so sexy and real. You have a lucky woman or man. I think you're talking about me. Thank you. Thank you for all the love. You guys are amazing. Yeah. I wish I could just live cast all day long and just keep going. Can I just do that? It's so much fun. So much fun. I can do this for like 5 hours. But I think you guys could get tired of me. Okay, almost done. I just wanted to show you something real quick. Anyone who hasn't added me on Twitter, by the way, make sure that you are subscribed to my Twitter, DeAnna Lorraine 7. Because that's where all the action is. And make sure that you've joined my Facebook group, Making Love Great Again. Making Love Great Again is my Facebook group. I'm a member of the NRA too. I'm a proud member of the NRA. And I am still waiting on my hat, actually. I just realized my hat has not arrived yet. But as soon as David Hogg started piping up with all his bullshit to take down the NRA, that's when I joined the NRA. Yes, I'm a relationship and life coach. I'm a relationship and life coach. Relationship and life coach, I work with singles, men and women, and I work with couples to help make their love great again. And I help singles actually get into relationships and develop their communication skills and their confidence and their attractiveness, their attraction skills, their dating skills, and everything to help make them the best person that they can be. And my website, by the way, is DeAnnaLorraine.com. DeAnnaLorraine.com is my website. But again, if you follow me on Twitter, DeAnna Lorraine 7, then my website's there, my YouTube there. Make sure you're following me on YouTube. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. And make sure also that you get my book. I'm about to read a passage from my book. Making Love Great Again. You guys have been a pleasure to be with today, and I'm on every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Here's my Twitter and Instagram. That's me. That's me. But I still haven't gotten my hat yet. At the gun range. That's at Scottsdale Gun Range. Okay, guys, I'm going to end with a little section from my book. You can get my book on Amazon, Making Love Great Again, The New Road to Reviving Romance and Winning at Relationships. This is the hardcover. This is the soft cover. And I'm going to read you a passage from something that's happy. And thank you for the compliments. You guys are really sweet. Thank you for saying that I'm beautiful. Okay. Chapter 13 is Making Love Safe Again. And this is before I get into my strategies for making love great again and winning at relationships. Love is, without question, life's greatest experience. It brings one into communion with infinite intelligence. When mixed with the emotions of romance and sex, it may lead one further up the creative ladder. Every person who has been moved by genuine love knows that it leaves enduring traces upon one's very soul. The effect of love endures because love is spiritual in nature. The man who cannot be stimulated to great heights of achievement through love is hopeless. He is dead, although he may seem to live. Before we can go into the next segment of my book on making love great again and winning at relationships, we must talk about one other significant thing: the importance of healing from toxic beliefs and making love safe again. I know I've been sarcastic and sassy at times throughout my book. I'm sarcastic and sassy in my book when I'm making my points against feminists and whatnot and social justice warriors. I know I've been sarcastic and sassy at times, and I know I've been a little brash in order to rattle your feathers a bit and wake you up and red pill you. In all seriousness, though, there are many women who have had valid reasons for feeling resentment towards men. Many women have been raped, betrayed, or otherwise deeply traumatized by some experiences with a father, a lover, or other men whom they trusted and cared about in their past. Thank you for the hearts. Traumas like these can cause women to view men as unsafe, and I know countless men have very valid reasons for feeling unsafe with women. I know men have had deeply traumatizing experiences with women that they've loved and trusted. And of course, there has been constant hijacking of our minds for decades by the media and other groups I've discussed that has poisoned many people's beliefs about their opposite sex. The agenda has been to pit women and men against each other, and we know that it has been largely succeeding in that. But now that we are awake to it, we need to be able to resist it and start thinking for ourselves. If we want to make love great again, we need to start with making love safe again. Women and men need to restore our natural allyship with each other, and it is each person's responsibility to do the inner work around traumas to get closure and to heal from them. For the women who genuinely feel threatened by men, it's essential that you do the work to forgive men and release old traumas you have around them. It's essential that you learn to deeply appreciate and honor the masculine and all of their wonderful contributions to society, past and present, and their contributions to women. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the love. Men, it's important that you do the inner work to heal the wounds created by the women whom have caused you pain. You must go through the process of finally releasing those traumas from your body, heart, mind, and soul, and learn to fully love and appreciate the feminine and all their beautiful gifts to offer you. If everyone is in their own isolated safe spaces, then there's no possibility of us connecting with each other. It is possible to feel safe again with our opposite sex. In fact, we must be a safe space for them. We can't love another and even begin to turn this ship around unless we first feel safe with them and trust them. We must learn to forgive the opposite sex if we want a fighting chance at changing the current climate. As we know, we cannot rely on the media, education systems, the government, and friends to help us strengthen our comfort level and positive perception of the opposite sex. In fact, we can count on them to continue their attempts at perpetuating the discord between us. That is why we need to take it upon ourselves and others who believe in making love great again to do this. The process of healing the trust issues and the wounds created from the last half century may be a long process. But remember, we need to burn down this old paradigm and all those destructive attitudes and behaviors along with it. If enough people are doing their part and doing their work personally, and enough of us are doing our part together on a global level, we will rise above the ashes like the phoenix to renew a better, brighter, cooperative, and love-filled future. Think of yourself like a home. You're preparing it to have a very special guest over, your partner of your dreams. If you knew he or she was coming, you would want to make it as warm, comfortable, and inviting of a space as possible. You would clean it of all debris and negativity. You would make it cozy, visually appealing, and conducive to having people want to spend time there and feel safe and comfortable there. This is what we need to do for ourselves. Do the work. Clear out your debris. Now light your candle, fluff up your pillows, roll out your welcome mat, and open your door to love. We need to do this together, and we absolutely can do this together. And you can start by this simple but powerful affirmation every day. I am a safe space for men and women to be with. I am safe, loving, non-judgmental, and comfortable. And men, women are a safe space for me. They are good at heart. I trust them. I enjoy them. I appreciate them, and I love them. Okay? Now, this is in my book, Making Love Great Again, and again, available on Amazon. Get the book. Talks all about how America is tied to our relationships. And we need to restore our American values that once made this country so great if we want to restore our relationships, because the two are intertwined. Okay? One more thing. I believe that this is what the Founding Fathers meant when they warned of destruction from within. If we continue on this path, we are committing suicide for our country. We are actively enslaving ourselves into a joyless, loveless, genderless future. Men and women of common sense and a moral compass need to wake up to the destructive madness that is being thrust upon us in the name of political correctness and progressivism, and look ahead to where this agenda and ideology are taking us. It is my hope that this book makes the rounds across the world as read by men and women, young and old, of every nation. Everyone from every nation who believes in these principles is encouraged to unite, because we need as many like-minded people to band together on this war on our very souls. I believe that Americans have the best chance at righting its country's ship, because it is not too late to do so. Okay, that's from my book, Making Love Great Again. And I've had such an amazing time hanging out with you guys today. A little bit long. Normally my webcasts are only 1 hour. Glad to hear that you agree and are like-minded on that one. But we had some interruptions this morning, some technical difficulties. Okay, we're going to go ahead and end now, but catch me on Wednesday, 9:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m., 9:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. Pacific time, which is 12:30 p.m. to 1:30 p.m. Eastern time. And if you have any special requests for things for me to talk about or discuss on Wednesday's broadcast or Fridays, because I've broadcast Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, make sure you tweet me, send me a tweet, send me a DM, send me a Facebook, or send me an email through my website, DeAnnaLorraine.com, so that I can incorporate it in my future broadcasts, okay? Until then, you guys are fantastic. Thanks for being such a lively and engaged and loving audience today. I'm DeAnna Lorraine. I love you very much. Yay! Thank you, guys. See you on Wednesday on the New Right Network. And let's make America great again, right?